Kia ora, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for being here with us today. In this video, I'm going to be sharing a pretty super chill day of homemaking and hanging out with my little girl. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Jackie B, and I have had many lives on YouTube, and I've gone through some pretty radical change, which I'll tell you a little bit about soon. But the idea of this channel was to give you some insights on our uniquely physical world, the challenges and the triumphs, but also to share with you some of the things that would resonate with most people, which is the fears, the challenges, the overwhelm that comes with just navigating this life, and also some of the really deep stuff, like trauma and how I've navigated that and come out the other side of it. And I kind of want to show all those things. I feel like I have a wealth of knowledge that could add value, and I would love to be able to impart that on people who have similar experiences. So if you enjoy this content today, I would love it if you would subscribe, like, comment. All of those things really help this channel find more of us, find more like-minded people who are overcoming challenges, who are really feeling the pressures of this world at times, and who are also triumphant in their journey, whether it be super physically unique or unique in other ways. So I hope you'll enjoy this journey, and let's get into this video. A few of you may recognize me from my previous YouTube channel, maybe a little bit of television, and maybe on social media. So previously, I was a tarot reader, and I say that like it was years ago, and it wasn't. It was months ago. 2024 saw some really big shifts for me. I had to really dig deep and had quite the identity crisis. So I went from being a tarot reader full-time on YouTube and doing readings for personal people, doing retreats and things like that, to not knowing who I was. And that partly had to do with the sense of feeling called and pulled away from those things in order to get really quiet and really still so that I could connect with what our divine creator had in store for me next, but also because something didn't quite fit for me anymore in that realm, in that environment. And it wasn't necessarily that what I was doing was wrong, because I have a lot of dear friends who still do tarot reading and who are phenomenally gifted, and I just have no judgment around that. I believe that we're all on a journey and that there is a place for everything, and we're just trying to figure all of that out. But for me personally, I'm at a place in my journey where I want to connect directly with divine counsel, and that is without tools and without any kind of object or deity that may skew some of the divine messages that I feel I've been blessed with the gift of intuitively downloading or receiving. And that put me into a whirlwind of just not knowing where I'm meant to be. And although it was a pretty rough year in terms of that, it was also a really, really important year. Because I let go of a lot of things, and I allowed a lot of organic processing, and I got a lot of work done in 2024, and I feel like a lot of us got a lot of work done in 2024 in terms of letting things go. And I'd love to know kind of what you found 2024 to be like for you, and what you felt you let go of or even navigated. But 2025, we've only just got into February, and 2025 so far in that 1 month feels like 5 years, because 2025 feels as if though it's a lot more demanding of us, in that we have to really pull our boots up, and it's like it's the tipping point. It's the last of the things that we need to let go of in order to truly be free. And if we resist it, I feel like that comes along or like a kick in the teeth. That's what it feels a bit like. So I experienced in the beginning of 2025 a really big challenge in my life, several big challenges in my life that, again, I have come through with flying colors, but it was scary and it was confronting and it was overwhelming. And I felt a lot of fear in it. And I think what kept me going was this knowing. Historically, every time I've gone through something like that, something amazing's come out the other end. And even though I was struggling, that faith and that trust was still there. But I feel like 2025 is going to be the year where we either surrender to the last of our wounds that are wanting to be released, or we are going to be dragged backwards through the bush of our remaining wounds. And I would prefer to go willingly. I would prefer to be a willing participant because the collateral damage is a lot less brutal. I think we're in a phase of clearing out our energy field of those last little things. And for a lot of people, it has been about relationships, career, work, focus, home life. I believe it's because we're getting ready, we're kind of gathering our people for this really big push that is going to be taking place as we shift into a higher kind of spiritual or a higher state of being, which we've been asking for so long. You know, we've been asking for this healing, and in order for us to have this healing globally and independently or individually, all of our shadow needs to come up, all of the dark stuff needs to come up so that we can transmute it and send it out. And we really needed to spend the beginning of this year weeding our gardens, and we've let some things go, we've blown some things up, we've burnt some things down, and we've made some really strong revelations as we're clearing space. And that is not an easy thing to do, especially if you have codependency, abandonment issues, people pleasing. I think with being little and not having dad around when I was little, I never got to meet my father. I think, and then a million squillion other things, and yours will be different, but I certainly felt like I was never enough just as I was. And so I became somebody who was very amenable, somebody who was very submissive in lots of ways. I talked a tough game, but when it actually came to those events and incidents that were brutal or confronting or traumatizing or violating, I froze. So a lot of people fight, you know, there's the fight, flight, and freezing, and I was a freezer. I freeze, or did freeze in the face of adversity. And so for me, in tough situations, having tough conversations is very triggering, and I find it incredibly difficult to have tough conversations with people I love because I'm scared I'm going to lose them, even though my logical brain says you're probably better off if having this conversation is going to release people. And I'm not great at it. I'm not great at having confrontation. I'm not great at having hard conversations, although people who have had them with me, not all of them, but some of them have had them with me, would say you are a master at it. And I say to them, you don't know what's going on in my body while I'm having them because I'm having like this cellular war, this battle within my body when I'm trying to have these tough conversations. And I understand it's all in the delivery, but there's two people at play when you have these great conversations. There's two people involved. It takes one person to be able to hold space and to be able to have a delivery that is non-combative and that is, aware and that is comes across as a collective kind of situation, and then there has to be somebody who's receptive to it. And that is where a lot of my trauma as well has come from, is that in the past when I've tried to express myself from a very wounded, vulnerable and fearful space, I've been attacked. So I'm always kind of, my body, the reflex, the response, the default response is always kind of sitting there wondering if an attack is coming from just being vulnerable and trying to find peace and harmony within a situation. So I don't enjoy it whatsoever. And 2025 had me really seeing where the wounds still are for that. Because I burnt something down that didn't necessarily, it needed to leave, it needed to empty, I needed to release it, but I didn't need to burn it down. And I don't know how to have really serious conversations like that, go into them calm and not bring in my triggers from my trauma into it. So I'm looking forward to working on that with my psychotherapist, who is incredible, by the way. And there's some work there to be done. And I'm not looking forward to the work, but I'm looking forward to connecting with this incredible mind that has helped me change my life, but also to the blessings that come after that. So whether that is a challenge that you experience, or whether your 2025 started with some other kind of incredible challenge, I firstly hope you didn't burn it all down like I did. But if you did, I want you to know that you're human and that you're not on your own with that, because there are a lot of people that are trying to figure out how to express themselves while holding this past pain, this wound of fear, vulnerability. Being vulnerable means you could hurt me, and I don't know anyone who gets in line to be hurt. And sometimes having those conversations, and the reason why we put them off is because that's exactly what it feels like to us, getting in line for drama. And so what we do is we put it off. Some of us put it off for a lifetime. Some of us put it off for years. Some of us put it off for months. Some of us put it off for days. And in those times, we struggle, some worse than others. But during those times when we're in a situation that is either toxic or unhealthy for us, and we're not speaking, we're going through a whole different kind of hell. And I need to continue to remind myself that it's better to face that shadow now, in the moment, than it is 2 years down the track, because by then we are so traumatized and so imbalanced and so triggered and exhausted and feel so defeated and maybe abused or taken advantage of, or whatever it is. And we could have saved a lot of pain for everybody involved by just having that tough conversation. And I think some of the collateral damage, which is actually a really big thing for me, when we are in a situation, a relationship, a dynamic where all of our energy is spent trying to navigate and keep our head above water, just so that we don't have to have these scary conversations, or because we don't know how to have them, or we don't even know that they need to be had, the collateral damage of that is everything else in our lives that matter becoming imbalanced. And when everything got burnt down in the beginning of this year, which, by the way, is fine, and felt a lot scarier in the moment than it is now. But what suffered was my connection with myself, with my children, with my health. And so I decided, while I was trying to keep my head above water, that I was going to prevent this. And I needed to go into deep rest. And so I got back to the basics. And every time I feel overwhelmed, every time I get myself into a place where it feels completely out of my control and anything could happen, I pull myself all the way back to the basics. I try and let go of anything that is taking unnecessary energy from me. And I sit there and I think about what is important to me. And for me, yours might be different, but for me, it's my children. I have little Nation, who you will see in this video, but I also have 2 grown sons, both 22, who are on their own journeys now, all grown up. But especially my little girl, she was the one that kind of doesn't get all of me. And so back to the basics was my little girl, my family, my children, my health, my highest connection, so my relationship with the divine creator. My environment is really important to me, family and friends, and my expressiveness, my creativity, my outlets. And so when I'm wrapped up in the struggle, all of these things seem to become imbalanced or take the back burner, and that makes it so much worse. So in order for me to get back to the basics, I had to let some things go. And some of you may know that I'm pretty ambitious, or I have been pretty ambitious. I've run retreats, I've had online channels, I've had online social media channels and all sorts of things, lots of projects going on. I've written a book, so I'm an author. I have an online store for candles and sprays. So I'm very ambitious, and in the last year, all of that felt like pushing shit uphill. I literally just couldn't make anything happen. In fact, the last 2 years, I felt the strain of that. And for 2024, I started getting really frustrated because I couldn't find that follow through. I had all these ideas, but I couldn't follow through on them. So I felt like 2025 was like a start, stop, and I got fed up with that. And I was like, why isn't this working? Like asking for insight, praying, asking, meditating on it. Why isn't this happening? Why does this keep that? I feel like I keep letting myself and other people down. Why is this happening? And getting back to the basics was kind of like when you have that kick in the pants, when you burn it all down and you realize you have to get back to the basics or you're going to drown. You're doing it for survival, really, because those are the only things that you can really control. You have this feeling of surrender where you just take this deep breath and you say, let it fall where it falls. These are the things I can control. Everything outside of it, I can't. And so I stopped forcing life. I basically stopped forcing things to happen that didn't want to happen. Even if I wanted them, they just didn't seem to want to happen. And it has set me free. It has literally set me free. I've fallen back in love with homemaking. I've fallen in love with the day-to-day living. I've fallen back in love with motherhood and really nurturing instead of kind of maintaining, but nurturing, seeing the needs and fulfilling those needs and really listening and seeing what is needed to nurture this beautiful little girl and to really connect with friends and to take care of my health, which, by the way, is such a journey and a long story and something that when you have been hurt so much in your life, you get conditioned and you no longer need those people to hurt you because you're conditioned to start hurting yourself. And I do a lot of that to my body. So I have a long way to go with that, but so much progress is being made, and through doing things like sourdough, or this is Māori version of sourdough, which is the rewana bread. I've created this bug from start where you use like a potato starter so that we've got more fermented foods in our lives so that it easily breaks down in our tum-tums, because Nation firstly has digestive issues and I'm not getting any younger. I need to start taking care of all aspects of self, and I'm starting to really notice the impact of some of those things that I do to myself or choices that I make. I'm starting to notice those on me. And so anything that fights me back in terms of what I know is not necessarily needed, it's not a battle for right, it's a battle for want. It's not a battle for what is, what we need. It's a battle for what I want. And when it comes down to that, I'm being more intuitive, I'm being more present, and I'm saying, is this happening because I'm not supposed to be doing it? where am I meant to be? So my creativity and my expression is this, my friends. And I feel though now that I've fallen back in love with homemaking, fallen back in love with being the kind of mum I want to be, being the kind of friend I want to be, being the kind of employer that I want to be, being the kind of person, me, that I want to be, and having that connectedness, I'm a lot more excited about life. I feel grounded and connected, and I've got more energy and more joy in my life. And these are all things that majority of them I can control just by applying myself, and I'm really loving it. So no more forcing. I feel like 2025 is not a year of forcing. I feel like 2025 is a year of quietness. It is a year of listening. It is a year of responding to what calls to us. It is a year of observing and being present so that we can catch those really quiet signals that are profound, truly profound, and offer us profound experiences and transformation. And I'm here for all of it. I'm here for it, because if what I've experienced since this shift of letting go and just anchoring into what I already have in my life has anything to do or has any reflection on what 2025 will be, I am excited. Regardless of what this world throws at us, I am excited, because I will have my foundational roots, the foundations of my life dug deep, really well, solidly deep in the earth, so that come what may, I will be strong, I will be sturdy, and I will have capacity for it. And I think that's where I am meant to be. And I hope that you enjoyed this sharing with you. I hope you enjoyed our journey today, and that you will consider coming back, liking, commenting, subscribing. All of that stuff is just so helpful for our channel. And I'll be sharing a little bit of my girl along this journey, should she feel comfortable with that. If she says, no, Mummy, I don't, I say, okay, let's not worry about it. And I'll just do a little bit of me. But I'm excited. I'm really excited to be here. And I hope you are too. And we will see you again in the next episode. Bye for now.
Yeah. You got a bag. Great.